Monday, everybody. I see we've already gotten the Krampus discussion going in chat. All right. Let me do this officially. Mic check. How we sound? Great. Good to hear. We have a new feature from YouTube that we'll be trying out. And I'm not sure if I should start this later in the stream, but since it's our first time, I'm actually going to start it now. And that is the Q&A. Give us your questions. We'll answer them at the end. So this will actually allow us to see all the questions in one place, instead of having to like sift through all the chat. I have no idea how this works on your end, but yeah, we will see. Give it a shot. I know that I can switch between the looking at everything, which I think everyone should have, where you have top chat, live chat at the top. You can now switch to questions, but I'm not sure how you actually enter your questions in it, maybe in the chat box.
If somebody wants to ask something stupid just so that we see how it works, that'd be great.
Yeah, otherwise, I don't know, we'll all learn together. Okay, yeah, I've got Holly Dollnut, Lee and Mimiko Minis, and Maiko Liga. Which smart doll you have right now? That is the moment.
Cammy is hanging out with us. We'll talk about her when we come up.
Okay, so interesting, I can select a question when we're answering it, which puts it up at the top for everybody in the chat. But we do that on screen anyway, and I kind of like that. So, we'll see. Close the question.
Clear button.
The clear button's all right in front of other stuff. So our last question, maybe. We'll have to see. Although,
can you scroll it?
I can.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right, blast doors are gonna close in a second. But we will be with you again very shortly.
Take it to the grave, but it doesn't end with you. In the You say you're
Welcome to the reality verse where Danny has increased the character limit on all doll names, but he's naming them all Elon Musk.
It's November 14th, and this is your Smart Doll News.
Still working on our pacing. Welcome back, everybody. It is... I have this, like, very, like, doomsday feeling tonight. I keep glancing down going, are we still streaming? Is this thing still on? I don't know why.
It's the reality verse.
It is. I don't know what's real anymore. We have some news to talk about this week. Got a couple of doll announcements and some discussion about the Evolve frame and how that's going to work. So before we get into that, of course, we want to thank
Lee
for being the best Super Smarty and moderator in our YouTube chat. Thank you for being here each week. We really appreciate it. And Lee should be on there twice because I still hadn't gotten all of my ducks in a row to get the new automated alert set up. Yeah, you should thank you so much, Lee, for putting in the extra super chat just to trigger off the new alert.
which is very cute.
I'm so happy with it. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, great fun there. And we, of course, thank you all for your support each week, whether it be showing up and hanging out with us, or whether it be dropping us a super chat, super sticker, or super thanks. Just it's super. Just, everything is super. It's super. Thanks for asking. Anyway, we have a couple of things. Let's get into the headlines before I lose it. Yes, and that would be them. The headlines. Oh, this is pretty.
Pretty girl, pretty scenery.
We didn't put all of Danny's news items in here that are like travel. He sort of does a travel log. But this one is just a good reminder, I think, about, sort of travel and how you don't have to go at the busiest time of the year to see a absolutely beautiful Japan.
Yeah. Fall is lovely, and apparently it's usually a little bit cheaper to visit Japan, and the weather is more temperate.
And yeah, I mean, it could be on the chilly side, especially if you're gonna go up to higher elevations and things like that. So you certainly want to come dressed for it. But
that's a beautiful shot.
It is. It's lovely to see wifey enjoying the scenery. This is just great. I cannot wait till we get a chance to go out and see, Tokyo is going to be great, but I really look forward to seeing
more like rural Japan.
Yeah.
and the vistas and things. Yeah.
So one thing that he does say here is, it's like, I find it interesting for the past couple of things is he actually has been bringing around north a chunk.
I loved in that first shot, I noticed that her birthmarks actually reflect the leaves.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of cool.
She's got the valiant chest on, which Danny always. I think he mostly uses the same body and changes out the head for the different dolls that he's carrying around, or he just always is having that mix and match kind of thing. All right, next item on the news. This is a stop that they did to an inn. And again, normally we don't cover the travel log stuff, but you really want to read all of the stuff that Danny puts out there.
Because he slips stuff in there.
So he talks about the fact that these traditional inns typically have, you might have a private bath on your, connected to your room. But a lot of them would have public baths. And we when we deal with public baths in Japan, there's often an element of like restrictions on who can enter the public bath. And he notes here that most public baths in Japan have signs forbidding folks with tattoos from entering. There are many reasons for this. I would assume, you have the historical sort of connotation of, tattoos with Yakuza or just, people who are going to cause trouble in general. And he mentions here that he finds it odd that it still exists. And the cool thing is, he says straight up, and we've seen pictures about this, so we knew kind of that he was doing this, but he straight up says that it makes him want to develop smart dolls with tattoos, and I will. So we have confirmation that...
Smart dolls will have tattoos.
Yep. Now, what kind of doll, Sandy, would you like to see? We saw a couple of iterations of this that Danny worked on, but in some of the prototypes. But what kind of doll with tattoos would you like to see?
Well, my first thought when we discussed this was like a Yakuza kind of doll, but I think a female, and my idea of it was like something kind of like Jada Pinkett Smith's character in Gotham, Fish Mooney.
Okay.
That kind of thing, like sophisticated, but like edgy.
Does she even have?
Well, Jada does.
Yes, Jada does. It's it
but
looks
this
like
is
it's
the kind of character that I
Yeah.
was thinking of.
Yeah. Very cool. I would love. I like the idea of like a classic Yakuza character. Like, I mean, he certainly could try and do licensing, like with the Yakuza game series. But I would love to see, like he did with the sort of subversive thing he did with Kabuki. I would love to see a female smart doll character with a legit like dragon back tattoo kind of thing. I would love to go big and actually have busts or something. I know it's probably not going to happen. We're probably looking more at face tattoos than anything else because of the ease.
Maybe the last week I talked about the putting tattoos on the mastectomy bust.
Yep.
That kind of thing would be very cool.
Yeah. I would. I think there's a lot of interesting things he could do. Just like it's just a matter of how far is he really willing to go with it. So we also have our first of our new doll announcements. And this is Never Say Never, who we've seen a couple of previews in the past week.
Yep. Love her little birthmark. Very, very cute. She's very pretty. I like her. So what do we say about her is Danny is basically, the story goes that, he has said no to things before and then realized at different points in his life that he, like some of those things he said no to at first were the best choices he ever made.
When he changed his mind.
Changed his mind.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is very cool.
I think this comes down to why, the idea of don't rule things out in your life. Keep an open mind, basically. Be willing to change your mind. You're going to get new information. You should always be willing to make your decisions on the best information you have today, but be willing to push yourself and try things that are maybe uncomfortable and you might have said never to because you just didn't think it was for you.
Right. Love her little birthmark. I have one, so I kind of like that.
She's very pretty, and we actually see, I'm not sure if I have it in the thing, but in his timeline, some of the behind the scenes pictures, you can see some of the variations that he did before he got there. How does he normally come up with the experiment with variations on eye makeup and stuff?
My understanding is that he actually will take pieces of face masks of other dolls and play with them to figure out what they want.
Right.
next.
So you might say, okay, I like the idea of this birthmark here, but we're gonna try combining a little bit of like Future's more like fuzzy eyebrow or something a little bit more extreme. She's great.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of Genesis in her, a little bit of Future. There's elements of a lot of the dolls in there.
Yeah, he talks about one. We'll read this part. While her name is a bit of a mouthful, yes, it is, Danny. I wanted to create a character with a look that encompassed determination and serenity, which is an interesting thing because we have had, determined-looking dolls, those serious dolls. Dauntless has that look.
Genesis has that look.
Ambition, but this idea of mixing it with something a little more positive in there, and it's not necessarily about like having to weather difficulties. It's about taking chances and those working out for you. What do you think of the name?
Well, I like it, but I can't stop singing there's an 80s song by, I think the band was Romeo Void, but I could be wrong. I think Never Say Never was Romeo Void. And I keep picturing like this dance number of this guy dancing and I can't not sing never say never.
Right. I feel like, I don't know. It's like, I know I'm not gonna call her Never Say Never. Like, she's just gonna be Never to me. It's always gonna get shortened to Never.
Which is weird because her name is Never Say Never.
Yeah, but you can't never say never without never. It's literally impossible. But
that's kind of like that, if you think you are Zen, you're not actually Zen.
Right. So yeah, very cool. I do like the things that Danny, the philosophy around how he's creating dolls. Of the idea is not just I want a cute girl or sad girl. The idea is here's this concept, and how do we take this abstract concept and represent it? And I'm sure sometimes it comes from, we made a cute doll, now what abstract concept fits it?
Right.
But this clearly, the brief for this project was this striking this balance that he was looking for. And I do think we got, that hasn't, there it is! Thank you, Amy Zickerman.
Thank you.
A little bit of the delay there. Thank you so much for your super chat. Amy says, I love the creative stories that Danny creates for the dolls, and it's one of the reasons I started loving Smart Dolls in the first place. Totally agree. The stories really, really sold it for us.
Yeah, I think when, even we talked about it in our old Before You Buy video, is that's one of the ways you can decide on a doll. How do you feel about the story? Do they have something that resonates with you?
Yep. We also have another special doll with a very, very long name. And that is Chitose Multiverse Semi-Real.
She's cute.
This is a G7. I'm pretty sure this is a G7 version of Chitose. It's a very accurate translation of the eye makeup.
Yep. The mouth is actually even pretty accurate. It's just a much more realistic, bigger mouth.
Yeah, it's the one thing I will say is the mouth doesn't quite, the G7 lips, it just sort of looks like it leans a little into the plump, slightly parted lips.
Yeah, instead of going, oh.
Yeah, and instead of the O expression that is on the doll. I know he wasn't going to do this just because, again, Chitose's sculpt is only Chitose, and it's that's a lot of money for one doll.
Right.
But I really, really am curious of what a semi-real sculpt of Chitose would have,
her own semi-real sculpt.
But this is incredibly cute and makes perfect sense, as far as being able to. I don't think we'd be able to get a Chitose in semi-real without doing it this way.
I think she's
Resources
going
wise.
to be very popular,
I think so,
especially
too.
with newbies. I think
Sure.
newbies are going to latch right onto her.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. I think I would still like. I like the pushing of the personality as much as possible. But I think honestly, I'm just on an anime kick right now.
But I think she's totally a fairy. Like, I can see her, dress her up like Tink. She'd be adorable.
Yeah. No, yeah, I see that. Yeah, we're gonna see now. Actually, I do want to make sure. No, that was fine. If you look inside this, there's some definite tidbits of what is going to happen with her and the frame. So this was a pretty big, important thing to read for you. So to start off, he doesn't like the length of, and the how hard it is to say Chitose Multiverse Semi-Real. And so he decided to call her Chitose Reality Verse. I'm not sure how much we gained here.
Well, I think he also he specifies, like, especially once you add the skin tone. So Chitose Multiverse Semi-Real Cinnamon
Sure.
is a lot.
Right, absolutely. And I would say, I'm going to guess most people will just be going into she's multi-chi. So, we already shorten it anyway. So my guess is she's semi-real multi-chi, something like that. But I know we, as a community, end up calling things shorthand differently than Danny calls them anyway.
Yeah, and sometimes, like, Danny doesn't even know what they are. So.
Because, people do weird things. So, Chitose Reality Verse will be released as an option head soon. And I think that's probably fairly soon. We don't have that much time before we get into, like, holiday breaks and stuff like that.
Right.
And he does say if she does well, she will get a full body release. So that puts the question that we've kind of always known was there. Option heads as a test ground.
Are they going? Are they coming? What is the purpose of option heads? Is there a bigger data dump that he's getting there? And what's he going to do with it? So.
In chat, we've got people calling her Real Chi or Reality. I kind of like Reality.
Reality.
I think we're gonna. I think that's Anna's softly whispered unboxings is it looks like the first to say that to add the I back in. So let's break down the frame that is coming out, because this is the big sort of piece of information to understand about.
I got to pause for a second.
Yes.
If there's a prototype, that we might actually see an alternate reality.
Oh my God. That's true. Yeah, I guess reality. I think it is interesting though that he still has he's still holding on to multiverse as the name of Chi, and that that she hasn't graduated to become Chitose. Chitose is still original classic Chitose.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see. I almost would have thought he might take the opportunity to just solidify it and let her be Chitose. But if it's kind of amusing and convoluted, that may
right.
So we have thank you, Angel Kitty.
For my pun. Thank you so much.
Angel Kitty says that pun was top tier. Well done, Sandy. We have the frame coming. So he gets into what's happening with the frames and the option heads and the dolls and the order in which everything comes in. So no new Smart Doll releases until the frame is ready.
Right.
Which there is no ETA for. I think things might have gotten pushed a little bit already.
Yeah.
He was hoping December, he had mentioned in our Q&A, which I thought was kind of early. We had been talking like January.
Right, January, February, yeah.
Was our guess. So it sounds like he's being very clear. He doesn't know when this is going to be done. But when it is done, only then will we start to get new dolls. So dolls that have had releases already may have some full bodies coming out, but
right.
but
new dolls will not come out until the new body comes out.
Yeah. So we have that happening. He does mention. I'm going to actually jump down here. Where is it? So regarding the lack of ETA, so many variables are outside my control regarding Evolve, which he mentioned. But he specifically brings up, the situation in Europe as having impacted plastic, supplies and the pricing. So there's a number of things that are sort of going into when and how he's going to be able to launch this. Now he then says, if they don't get a full body release, they will either remain as option heads or be discontinued. So It's not a guarantee that if something doesn't make it to a body that it's gone. They may stay as an option head.
Right.
Now, here's sort of the timeline here at the bottom. Once Evolve is ready for prime time, I will first have to write up all the reasons why you will hate it. Of course, we expect nothing less, Danny. And how Transformers fans may want one ASAP. So we now know that there's a tie-in to the frame
with
and Transformers. So we still don't know exactly how that tie-in is happening. Whether there's going to be like a robot version of the frame or so, I don't get it. But we'll find out. This has been an ongoing bizarre mystery that we've narrowed a little.
Maybe it's like a Smart Doll Transformer verse. Like maybe we're gonna be able to put like robot-looking parts on the Smart Doll frame.
Yeah, right. That's I mean, like, I just don't know like how it would. I could see it being where you could clip on like pieces and essentially make Optimus Prime, the robot, standing.
Jetpacks and things like that.
But how that then is allowed to transform, if it can fully transform, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's just not a fully transform. It's more like we're making the full humanoid version of the Transformers on top of that base.
Or maybe it's like Smart Dolls doing Transformer cosplay.
Sure. But I don't know why the frame would be tied to that specifically, except for maybe he talked about the ability to hold like the weight, the capacity, the strength of it. So yeah, who knows?
BJD Dollfam says the Smart Dolls can now transform into expensive decisions.
I thought they transformed from expensive decisions already. Brilliant. We do have a note. People are talking about in chat that the yen is going up. I don't know. What's the Nefertiti? What's the other way around? How many dollars is 1 yen? But he also mentions here. So when expectations have been set. He talks about the experience of the feedback and their articulation. He talks about the haptic feedback from the articulation. And we've seen 375, 37, so depending on where you look. So it's not like coming back up to like...
Not like high. It's just higher than it was.
Yeah, we'll see if it... Well, that's more likely the dollar honestly, than the yen changing. But yeah, that's our inflation changing. So he mentions the haptic feedback and the experience that he really loves on the frame of, he says that in the old ones, you pose the Smart Doll, and in the new frames, the Smart Doll poses you. I don't like, assuming that's just like that feedback, that click that happens as you turn those gears inside of those joints.
My thought is, like I was saying to John, is from what I'm reading from Danny in the description, it reminds me of the way Barbie knees do that sort of pop, pop, pop.
Yeah,
I mean, bend them.
It is like little gear that it just like, it has basically how many teeth that gear has determines how defined that articulation is. And it sounds like he's just got a lot of those. So they have a lot of levels of articulation in each of those joints, and you now have a lot more strength at each of those levels. You might not be able to get in between those points, but they're so close together that it shouldn't matter. At least that would be the hope.
And I made the comment to John, I was like, that's so great for stop motion, because you will have precise locations that the joint can move to.
Yeah.
So,
the Barry Wing says the click probably like resin dolls have notches to pose at different ranges, except resin dolls have like 3. Like you can do this, and we're talking a full ratcheted gear that they can move, around and move through the full motion. So it's still going to have the same full motion that they've always had. It's just going to have a lot more strength to hold a pose. And, especially like we were talking like intermediate poses, like where if you put something in their hand, that would transfer the weight all the way up to like the shoulder joint, and it would start to, sag a little bit.
Right.
And this would probably have no issues with something like that.
Right, because that ratcheted joint is actually going to hold it. Yeah.
Anna Kay says, okay, we'll call out this question right now. Anna Kay says, will the Evolve frame allow us to pose our Smart Dolls like Japanese ghost girls, like spiders and crawling through TV screen? I don't think this is going to change. Well, it's going to have more freedom of movement, but probably not necessarily as far as you would need to go all the way
backwards like that,
backwards.
like a full back bend. But they are going to have a much stronger range of movement.
Yeah.
Like they can do a full split, which is pretty cool.
Yep. So we also have still more to talk about here. He says once they've set expectations, some of the Smart Dolls in back soonish limbo will be released with the doll frame. And this didn't clear out all the way. Okay, I'm going to have to go back in and clear again. There we go. So that means we know that some of the unreleased people, right? Like Future hasn't gotten a full release. We would likely see her after in that round with new dolls.
Yeah, actually, the upcoming one is going to be the first one to get released as a full doll.
Yeah, and actually rereading that, it says some of the Smart Dolls in back soonish limbo, which would mean full dolls that are on the site that he's been producing may get released
With the Evolve frame.
Yep. So that happens, and then full body releases for new dolls, and he says specifically North and Never Say Never. So I just like to point out things have changed for North.
Yeah. The anime North was not necessarily ever going to, I think initially he said he was not planning to release her without the kintsugi, and now she is like...
Danny learned to never say never.
Yep.
Yeah, I think she's really become, I think Danny had that mindset of relentless is the point of this doll and the point of this face-up, and people loved the underlying face-up so much that North became a real girl.
And she's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I have her in 2 skin tones now.
Yeah.
She's great.
He then says, finally, we will start selling assembled option bodies to folks who previously bought option heads. So there you have it. Our not a timeline, but the order of events. You've got, creating the prepping all of the materials for the product page and everything that he has to do, and setting expectations. You've got getting some of the girls who are currently back soonish out with the frame, then new girls, then option bodies, but being available to people who have option heads.
I think that's so different. Actually gives a whole new meaning to that that phrase. It came with the frame.
Right.
Like when you have somebody who takes a really beautiful photo.
Right, it came with the frame.
It came with the frame, and so so there's a whole new meaning for it came with the frame.
So we'll have to start a hashtag. It came with the frame for people as they get their
dolls with the evolved
and start
frame.
posing into weird things. Another thing happened last week. Some of you may be screaming at your screens, going, you totally missed this. But of course, how could we miss her?
Blucher!
It is Blucher. That is Future in Intergalactic Blue.
Interstellar blue.
Interstellar blue. Right, it's intergalactic gray, interstellar blue.
Right.
She is gorgeous.
Yeah, Future is just everything. And she's blue now.
Except for the present or the past, but
Right. Right.
The interesting thing here is Danny actually asked and sort of did a Twitter poll, and this is really one of the only places where you have much interaction with Danny these days, is on Twitter. And he actually full up said, do you want it as an option head or a full doll? And it appears that we are getting next week, which would be this week, a full doll release of Blue Future or Blucher. Yeah, she looks. Let's just go back here because she looks amazing. So she should be coming this week. Although you never know, things happen. And I do want to point out that I've got sort of a vision for her.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I gotta have her because she's Future, and she's blue, and blue is going away, and if I don't get Blucher, I'm going to regret it.
Yeah.
But John actually already came up with an idea for her.
I want her to be a Stella. I think she would look so good with really golden yellow hair. And which means we would be able. So this is Stella from Interstellar 5555, or however you want to say that, which is the Daft Punk anime album movie thing,
Right?
Which is one of my favorite things of all time. And in this, this band of like aliens and intergalactic band / superheroes. It's kind of weird. End up having their.
Well, it's kind of like Gem and the Holograms, or
sure, right, or Jabberjaw. No. So they are on the run and end up basically being sent to Earth, having their memories not wiped but altered so that they're humans, so that they think they're humans. And she becomes Stella as a human. And I just really want to do the two futures side by side as these two versions of Stella.
I mean, honestly, I think if Entropy had been, well, actually, we could actually get an Entropy made in blue, because that head sculpt was actually released.
Yep.
But
that Entropy would be a little bit more. It was less about the face and more about the feeling of her. The softness, the glow about her.
Yeah. I mean, there is something about Future that is just effortlessly sweet.
Yep.
And I'm people have I have her in cinnamon, and I've had her for a long time, and I always tell people if If you like her at all in pictures, you will love her in person. I really think cinnamon is her color.
Yeah.
Like, that is like, I mean, she is brilliant in cinnamon. I love her in cocoa too, but like people have been getting her in tea because tea is so popular, and I really think cinnamon is the color to have her in between the two.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone has their preferences, and but yeah, I think some, sometimes some dolls are literally made for a particular color. But there is something about, as you get darker, losing some of the fidelity and really being able to see those lovely brown, furry eyelashes and stuff.
She's a very old-fashioned quality too, and I think that's why I love Cinnamon so much, because she just looks like, she should be dressed kind of like the way I am right now, with a high neck blouse and like the Edwardian thing works well on her.
So cannot wait to get her. She is just, she's just gorgeous. Future is so good.
I will have my blue trio. I will have my blue North, Kanashimi, my blue Relentless, and Blucher. Who needs a name? I guess we could call her Stella.
That's up to you. I just want to see her.
Stella!
Can't you hear me yell? The Simpsons is at the intersection of all pop culture. So we have let's see, Future, she's coming. That's it for the headlines. So why don't we take a moment and pause and talk about this lovely lady?
Yeah. Okay, so this is Cammy. Cammy, who can wear, like, basically anything, but today...
It's like, that's her name. She's Cammy, who can wear, like, anything.
Yes, this is Lady Camellia Frost Thistle. This is my first Smart Doll.
I think we need to check out the doll cam.
Hey, okay. So Cammy is wearing, I'm gonna go down. I made this little necklace that she's wearing. The shirt is from the Black and White collection, that big collection that Elite Doll World did a few months ago. And then I made these pants from a pattern that just released by Barb from Enchantarium. She asked me to test them, and I wanted to make sure that I did something completely different. She calls it a utility cargo pant or something like that. And she did them in, like, strong yellows, like, solid color blocking. And I had these two prints that looked so good together, and I decided to make her punk pants. And I even, like, made an embroidery detail for her zippers and added on some extra bling, gave her a little belt hook thing. I think she's rocking it. I love these pants.
I think London is gonna steal them.
Yeah, they're really cool. I mean, not my own work, but the pattern itself. I really think somebody, like, with fairly basic sewing skills can actually do this pattern. It's a lot of pieces, but they go together so easily, and it's mostly straight lines. Like, you barely have to do more than pivot. And Barb's instructions are really good. It's almost like she's, like, standing there in the room with you, sewing with you. That's the way she writes her instructions. So, and I did it without the video, and she has put out a video, or is going to be putting out a video, if it's not out already, showing you how to make these. So I definitely recommend getting this pattern, and checking out the tutorial. It was really, really fun to do, and I can see myself modifying these a lot and doing different things with them.
How long did this take?
I cut them out. They take longer to cut out, I think, than they take to make.
Right.
I was really trying to take my time and everything, so I think it probably took a few hours, but I was, like, reading through her instructions and stuff because I had a purpose,
Right. Very cool. I love these pants. These are really great. And nice to see the stash getting used.
Yeah, I have so much. But the thing is like I make one thing and then I buy 6 more pieces of fabric. So.
Yeah. So that's fantastic. And if you are enjoying this content, the news, which we're doing every Monday, you should seriously give this video a like. It is one of the best ways that you can help our channel really, grow every single week. And if you can't do anything, you can hit that button. We really appreciate it. So we're gonna get into some behind the scenes. We got a bucket of stuff.
And a mask.
And well, yeah, technically. It's hard to see that, but you already know what it is. Mm-hmm. What do you think? I know what's happening here, but what do you think is happening here, Sandy?
It looks like deciding colors for the mask.
Nope.
I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure what. I'm assuming coloring it just so it's easier to separate and understand, to understand what's what. But that is they're making a silicone mold.
Oh, okay.
Which we can see, which I said very weirdly. I think I left the L out of that word. You can see here, you've got the mask. This is from those aviator goggles things, I believe. Mm-hmm. And you can see here they've taped up around, so this is so that anything that grows.
Right, okay, yeah. No, I've done this too, and I didn't even realize what that was. I saw the red, and I thought, what mask is he making that's red? I didn't get past that.
Yeah, so this little bucket here is the silicone. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're starting molds for this. I'm not sure specific. Well, my guess is if he's doing a mold for it,
is that the goggles?
I'm pretty sure that's the goggles because you have the hole on the side here.
Oh yeah. Okay. From this angle, it looks very superhero-y. That's why I was like...
Yeah, it is... Yeah, it's hard. I think it's this part, and then where this is closing in. Yeah, this is very... Almost Spider-Man. And it looks kind of like the Carnage eyes.
It looks like, yeah, I could see it also being like the front piece of a helmet or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that this is going to be the metal piece, I believe. If it is going to be metal. Of the goggles, and so you'll have the spot on the sides for the straps to go through. Speaking of other, I think I want to say this is more metal casting versus, and you can see it's got some sort of seam here, so I believe this is some sort of casting out of metal, assumedly, versus metal, 3D printing or something like that.
Right. So some new emblems.
Yep, we've got the emblems coming in, not in a patch, but an actual piece of metal, which is very cool. Mm-hmm. Die cast is the probable word that I was looking for. Thank you, Nefertiti. We've also got a new shirt pattern. Not a pattern. It is a pattern, but I don't mean to imply that this
t-shirt, but it actually looks like the Maury Girl shirt.
Right, so it looks like they're weathering the Maury Girl shirt.
Yep.
And doing it separately. Mm-hmm. So you could see here,
it's a great shirt, and that's a smart move if that's what's happening, because that shirt shape is so good.
Yep.
And it just I love the it hanging out from underneath sweaters and things like that.
But hello, yeah, I do believe. I don't even know if this works, but we'll see. Nope, didn't work. But
that's okay. I did it.
You did it. I still got to get that to work. But this is gorgeous. Now we have. Why are we seeing two different sleeves, Sandy?
It looks like, they might be doing two different things, but it looks like maybe they are just testing, that's like a muslin, and they don't need to do both sleeves.
Or they're testing different types of sleeves, because it actually looks like this sleeve is pinned on right here at this hem.
Could be.
So they might be playing with different, sleeve ideas.
I like the long sleeve. That's cute. With a little bit of the poof. It's very fashion. It's very like, I wouldn't say it's high fashion. It's actually like trendy fashion. Like it's everywhere. Those poofy sleeves.
Totally. And the nice thing is we already get to know what this is going to look like color-wise and sleeve-wise because there they are.
So cute. Oh, must have. Must have. All of it.
Yep.
All of it.
Yep. I'm not sure if this came out of it, but this reminds me of some of that like cyber ballerina stuff that he was doing on Midjourney.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he was inspired by that.
I mean, this is very clearly normal stuff. It doesn't look like it's like. I don't think he's creating anything radical here. They're just great pieces.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe he ended up getting on this path based off of some of the silhouettes that he was,
it's more
coming up with.
girly.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it still fits in with the aesthetic and everything. Like, you could mix and match this with the post-apocalyptic stuff, but it's more Maury and girly.
Yep.
Like just a little bit of, soft femininity. I love it. And it's modest for those people who want to modest dress their dolls. It's modest.
Yeah. This is not a Dolgeret outfit.
No.
This is definitely. I mean, the thing I love about it is like modesty aside, it looks real. It looks like real clothes a real person would wear.
I want those outfits.
Yep. I think half the chat right now is saying that they want those actual like for them.
I mean, we could probably make it. It's that they're not complex outfits for a human.
No.
But,
well, yeah. Well, if you want to twin with your doll with this is not that hard to make.
No.
All right. Now we got to play Swatch It Up.
Yep.
I made up that name of that game just now. We've got a whole bunch of swatches and no idea what he's doing with them. So, what do you think, Sandy?
Oh, I don't know.
We've got a wool bulky rib, an acrylic rib.
So cardigans.
And we've got a brown and a lavender marked there.
Cardigans, socks.
I find this interesting. These two have been removed.
Interesting.
So it looks like it would be a swatch like this, but we're looking at something with like an orange, a rusty orange, and a slate sort of gray.
Mm-hmm. Which he's used before, both of those colors. So
Kelly Popper wins the evening with Swatchy Swatch. Or is it Swatch Watch? Because we're watching the swatches. No, I like the swatchy. I can't even say it. Very cool. Anything
smart swatch.
Anything else here stick out to you as fabric that you'd love to see used?
I love that lavender. That lavender makes me very happy.
Yep.
But I mean, he's done other pieces in a similar tone. Love that the blue there, that like royal blue number 9 on the right.
Oh, on the rib?
Yep.
Yep.
Very pretty.
Can't see it behind us, but there it is.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I am loving the idea of other colors.
These
basically
look sort of like a terry. Like a really, you see what I mean? Like,
I think that's the that might be the soft, like the lightweight knit. But I could be wrong.
You got this too, though. This is more like, although that might be a similar thing. This is more like that soft, really lightweight. All right. Always fun to play Swatchy Swatch. I did include this. This is the pictures that he had previewed before announcing her of Never Say Never. And I can't zoom. There we go. This, of course, is I believe, the final or close to it. But here, this is what I was talking about. You can see that very future Mirai eye on here. I'd love seeing all these variations and to see, how he ended up at each of these. Here's got like this. I feel like we need to name the features and the styles of those features. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Like to be able to understand, like, this is a swoop eye, or this is a, like...
Well, it's like that, like the one up on the right there. I always call it the lid fork.
Right. The lid, the forked lid fold or something.
It's like a lid demarcation. It's like where they show how the lid goes. But
Yeah.
it's like...
I just hate adding the word demarcation into it, but it's the lid fold. I mean, it's where the skin folds, onto itself. But that one happens to be forked. I think it might be cool to have like sort of a language to be able to talk about and compare like the features that are on a doll. We've started doing that with the archive, which if you haven't check out archive.myladydisdain.com. We are cataloging all the dolls, and Baggins Lover, who's been doing an amazing job with all the data entry, has just started to add in fields for features like, like the beauty mark or things like that. So you could start to go, oh, I want to see all the dolls
that
with
have
that type
tattoos
that have,
or that
right.
have, okay.
I'd like to make sure that if there's a real word for them, we're using it, and we'll see. Like this is, she has it up here. I would call, I don't know, this is like eyebrow blush or something.
Nefertiti called that the eye crease, the line.
Yeah, crease is a better word.
That works better, yeah.
But yeah, very cool to see the process. All right, now we haven't seen these in a little while.
If you get a hold of these passes, don't forget to remove the protected film. I have a feeling those are going to come in chaos.
Yeah, because how else are you going to get a hold of them?
If you get a hold of them.
Yeah. I think we've got a chaos coming soon, because that sure looks like he's prepping for chaos. I mean, it may just be... Well, no, I mean, those are chaos boxes. There's no way he would prep that many like that. Well, I don't know. I mean, doll, they could be like option head boxes, but...
Yeah, they could be, but I really think that's when the last time he showed all the boxes set up like that, it was chaos.
Yeah. So we expect a chaos is coming soon, probably. With likely these passes would be in that chaos. Now here we have another update. This is the fourth update on the Mirai trailer. We can see it's really coming along now.
Yep.
This is going to be very cool. I can't wait to see this when it's finished. Why is Danny? Just remind us why Danny is even making this.
Well, I think it'll be great for like traveling. He takes the team places, like being able to road trip and have an actual trailer to use would be great.
I think he also, I mean, I don't know where he's necessarily going to park it or whatever, but I know like they were looking at having sort of like a compound or something, like a place with, buying real estate and buying housing for his people. And it sounds like it has evolved into this.
Tiny homes, basically.
So very, very cool. Now this one we missed last week, talking about it. I think it took a little while staring at it to realize what it is, but it looks like Danny is continuing to evolve and work on his Mandalorian costume, because this is the I forget what it's called. It's like the Whistler or something like that. It's all of those little tiny missiles that...
It's like a bird, something but a bird or something. That's like something that's what's sticking in my head. I can't remember.
So it's his arm band weapon thing that I think Boba Fett fires off like the grappler or something like that out of it, or maybe a rocket. Whereas he does these tiny little like homing rockets that fire out. But so that's very cool to see. He's to kind of see that he is still pushing that costume. He's definitely not done. And that puts us at the end of our behind the scenes, which of course brings us to the best part of the show.
The Smarty Party.
We came to party all night long. Let's sing along to every song. We don't need nobody's attention, don't need nobody else in our zone. Making plans so as we go. Weary dance when no one knows just how we want it. We want it. Going left, going right. Doesn't matter tonight, just how we want it. We want it. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time.
So good.
We have some really creative photographers in the community.
Yeah, I can't wait to, as we get through, because we continue to grow, would really love to see more of that. We do actually have a suggestion in the Discord to move the Smarty Party into the intro, the pre-show section, which is a trade-off. So it's, something where we could show more pictures. We could do duplicates of, I should say, not duplicates of pictures, but more pictures per person.
So actually have like the 10-minute countdown be
A looping of current
everybody's
pictures.
Okay.
It's definitely a doable idea. Is going to take some work on our part to make the automated scripts I'm using adapt to multiple people with the same, multiple files with the same name or whatever. But it is something we can do if you're interested in weighing in on this, whether you want to keep seeing Smarty Party in the show, or whether you want to with less of it, or whether you want more pictures but in the pre-show. Hop on our Discord and check out the suggestions forum. It is I think there's a thread on doing the countdown versus chat that this has been brought up again. So let us know what you think, and we'll try our best to give you what you want, basically. In the meantime, it is also time for questions.
Yep.
And hopefully answers.
And we're going to try out our new feature.
So YouTube, I did this at the beginning during the pre-show, but YouTube has put out a new Q&A feature. And I normally would love to tell you exactly what to press and how to do it. But hopefully it's obvious in the chat entry. We're going to switch over to the questions view and go through some of the questions that you may have asked throughout the show. And as you add more, I believe the first one we have outside of our testing is from Holly Dollnut. Do you think old body parts will be able to go on new frames, such as medium boobies? And do you think we will have to buy new parts?
I think the old body parts are going to work, but I think that he is also making new stuff that might fit a little differently.
We've seen new stuff, but it seems more purposely like it's new for a reason. It's not like the same thing. We thought for a while the adventure bust might be a redo of the basic bust. In which case that could imply exactly that the bust is actually getting altered. But I don't, since he actually announced it as the adventure bust for, basically looking more like, you're wearing to look better under the sports bra. I think all of those, like the bust parts, the hands, like I guarantee you a design goal right from the beginning is all of those option parts should not change. That would be a huge problem for him to have to redo, just the cost of redoing all those molds and everything.
I mean, the only thing that I mean, maybe feet, like when he really, maybe we're gonna get new high heel feet, that kind of thing.
Maybe.
Because that's a possibility because of the way it goes into the frame, but maybe not. I don't know. But I don't think that we're gonna have to get new busts or anything like that.
Yeah. Magic Turkin says, "Can I come visit Blucher?" I mean, with the amount of times that, you know, our Ring, you know, motion detector has gone out in the driveway over the past 2 weeks, I assumed you'd already showed up.
We don't even, like, I mean, you know, obviously we're going to try and get her, but we don't know that we will.
Yeah, we're going to do our best. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we get her. And hopefully we'll be doing some get-togethers outside. I mean, of course, we are going to be at DollCon in Dallas. Mm-hmm. But we're also talking about, you know, figuring out a Pennsylvania-ish, you know, gathering.
It was Erie was suggested because, I mean, like, you got all the cottages and stuff up there. Maybe we could get a cottage to use for a night or whatever and have people out and have like a doll gathering at Lake Erie.
There's a lot of options, and we'll discuss them in the Discord of what you guys want to do. But we definitely look forward to next year having our first actual, Court of Disdain get together.
Mm-hmm. You missed Tessa's Kingdom, by the way.
Oh yeah, right. Sorry.
She asks, "Do you have an aesthetic you dress your dolls in?" All of our dolls have different aesthetics. Like, they kind of tell us, like, you know, just by looking at them, like, what they want to wear, you know. Cammy wears everything. Like I said earlier. Like, I mean, it usually leans towards it's kind of sexy in some way. Like, it might be like sexy secretary or this punk look or something like that. But
if anyone's gonna wear lingerie in this room, it's gonna be Cammy or maybe Vignette.
Yeah.
But they are the two sort of bombshells.
Yeah. You know, and like Roxy is also leans sexy, but she leans sexy and more like she's like a tomboy grease monkey kind of character.
Yeah.
Both Hero and Miranda do more cottagecore, Maury girl, like, you know, like old-fashioned looking clothing. So they all kind of have told us what they like, basically.
Yep. Tempest Drive asks, "Do you like thicker or thinner eyebrows on your girls?" Excuse me.
Okay, so I can't say, like, sometimes like one might strike me more than the other. I was never a fan of strength eyebrows. I can say that. Like, I mean, I actually have fairly full eyebrows, but I don't like them on the dolls as much.
So you're generally more inclined towards thinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I guess on the extreme end, I would agree with you. I like expressive eyebrows.
Right.
I like eyebrows that tell a story, and sometimes they don't speak to me. Fortitude, it took me a while. It was anime Fortitude that I really sort of, you know, visually latched onto more these days, but we don't have her. But
your sister does,
yeah.
And we did actually get to see her.
But I love those like three like flares on the eyebrow that she has. Like, it's not just about thickness; it's about what it does to her whole face. Because eyebrows are one of like the single most important aspects of a face up. So yeah, like the raised eyebrow, like what sort of expression does it give? So I would actually say in between. Somewhere in between is usually too thin and it starts to disappear, and too thick, it's like a little overly distracting. Hers are on the thin side, but her smoky eye.
She's got very strong eyes. Oh, we've got something here from Mr. Danny. Planning a drop this morning, including the last blue doll drop of the Interstellar era.
So, looks like it's time for Blue Future. This is why I wore this shirt. So we'll put her back here.
There is more.
Okay.
I had to get it off of my phone instead of my watch.
Here, let's just. We can't merge outstanding orders, which are already being packed. Also planned is Chitose Realityverse and Never Say Never option heads. I find it interesting that he did not capitalize never on that. Mm-hmm. So we've got the two new girls that we're talking about right now. You can get their option heads that's being dropped tonight.
Actually, 3 if you count Blucher.
Well, that's true, yeah. Mm-hmm. And the drop of Blue Future, which is going to be a full doll, which is going to be fantastic. And yes, say goodbye to your money. All right.
Have you started sharing your storytelling? What platform are you or will you be using to do that?
We haven't. Things have been slow this summer in terms of getting back into that. And I've got, we've talked about this every week. I've got some hurdles to get over first of doing, getting back row finished, getting the 3D printing up and running.
And I have stuff to do for him, and I am actively nesting since I have to have surgery in December.
So we will be looking at, in the end, I have a draft, which is completely irrelevant and pretty much thrown away. So I need to take another couple stabs at drafting out something. And it may be, trying to keep it simple. Again, I got to start small and get back in the groove of things. I have some really high expectations of what I want to do for mechanically how I want to do some of the shots. A lot of it right now is with green screen, but I did just watch a video that from Caleb on DSL Shooter talking about shooting against televisions, doing product shots. He would get stock video of cool sciencey user interfaces and stuff like that, mm-hmm. and take a video of a camera, and he'd set down the camera, and then the video goes boom with a circle and does all these cool UI things around it, but It's just a video playing on a television that he happens to be setting the product down onto. So we've talked a little bit about doing stuff like that. I may be trying some more. It's kind of an in-between thing. For some of the techniques that I wanted to use. So to answer your question, nowhere concrete yet. They will be on YouTube.
More along the lines of the Fates video that we did, stuff like that.
We will be, some of it will get shared to Discord. We may be looking at doing some membership tiers and stuff with the Discord. To help support some of that once I get rolling, where we would actually just give you open access to I would be posting updates of all the steps of what I'm doing, that sort of thing. But that's a ways off. So we'll get there. Mika 7 says, I may miss this part about it, but how the option body work? Will the body be assemble, or will we have to build it? I believe he talks very differently about option bodies. I think they're like an option head is a head that's ready to go. It has eyes. It has
a wig comes with it. Yep.
Pretty sure that the option body will be a fully assembled body. Because he's done body frames and parts. I mean, they're currently out and available. Mm-hmm. So he might still be doing that in the chaos, section. But I think if it's going to be different, it needs it. I don't see any way that he's not planning this to be a full assembled body. And I would like to say thank you for Stephanie. We were on it at the time, but thank you for putting drop coming in the questions so we actually see it. All right. Let's get out of the questions and let's just make sure there's nothing that we have missed. Yeah, we still have some people doing question, which I totally get because we've been training you to do that for weeks. Anna K says, we know new frames are coming. We know girl bodies are coming. Do we have any insider information about future boys?
When we did our 39 questions for Danny, we asked him about boys, and they are still being tweaked, and he said that when they're ready, they'll come out.
Yep, it is. Basically, it sounds like they're well on the back burner. Like it'll happen when they happen, and nothing. There's really no. So we're still probably looking at a year or two or something.
Naruto is likely the next boy, and
that's a normal boy body, I believe.
Yeah, and that's gonna be. When did he say that was No, was it Q3?
I don't know.
Or no, C2 was Q3, and I think Naruto is sometime after that.
The other thing that I would say is, with the frames coming, I'm sure that will reset the clock on the boys because, I mean, maybe he's doing them simultaneously, but probably not. So we're probably looking at new boy frames, whatever differences there might be in them. So we shall see. And another straggler here, Marianne. Do you think Danny should put all the things like hearing aids, diabetes pumps, etc. on the free section so he doesn't have to worry about making ones that get lost?
I believe he said he was going to. I'm pretty sure he said he was going to make like the inhaler and stuff available as a file.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't think it'll stop him from making it.
Right.
Because he wants to make sure that people have it and gating it behind the ability to print.
Right.
And he wants to make sure people have it for free. So, but I think it's certainly possible. I don't think we've gotten a definitive that that's happening.
No, but I think somewhere he said that he was planning on doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not positive on that, though.
And anything else? All right, Magic Durgan asks, do you think you'll ever try wig making for a character, or will you keep it to modifying pre-existing ones?
Yes. I actually already have...
Which one is it?
I already have some supplies for making wigs.
Yeah, what were we... well, I got you... I got you stuff for Marin.
For Marin, but we didn't end up getting enough because it was super expensive.
It was really expensive.
And but I did end up getting some cheaper stuff to try that might actually work for one of your story characters. That blue and sort of purpley.
Yeah, we talked about trying to get into some of the sort of like not felt, but like the more fur ones. And getting those to look really
some
good.
more funky styles, like shaved sides and lots of like weirdness.
There was some. What was the Etsy shop that we liked? Molly something? Sophie Molly, I believe, shut down though because of Russia. I could be wrong. But their stuff was really cool, like shaved sides or braided, Viking hairs type stuff. And of course the hard part there is getting it perfectly shaped to, the Smart Dolls.
Yeah, so
hairline.
I want to try my hand at doing something like that.
All right. No. Still got some stragglers. And again, just as a reminder, as we get easier, use the new question feature so we get all your questions in one place. You no longer have to put question into your question, but we do need you to put it into the actual new thing, which I'll look at what that actually looks like so I can better explain it. But we've got... Last question here. Kelly asks, how soon do you think he will do Chaos bundles again?
I think that graphic says that there's, in addition to everything else, there's going to be a Chaos bundle.
Because of the, you think because of the throwing your money away?
Don't buy unless you want this to happen, you know?
It could be. It could be. So we could see them tonight. I would guess that we, we'll see them this week, if not tonight. But
I think it's tonight. I think tonight's going to be Blucher, a Chaos drop, and the option heads, and I'm not sure what else, but...
Yeah. That looks like it's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's been lovely spending our Monday with you.
As always.
And we will see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.